Alright guys, does your brakes look like this? Then it's definitely time to get an upgrade. The tools you're going to be needing are going to be a lug wrench, a flathead screwdriver or pry bar, a hammer possibly, and a ratchet. Also going to be needing a tower to hold up the car, and then a jack to be able to pick up the car. And I got these extra pieces of wood. You're gonna need some brake fluid, but I didn't have any brake fluid. I have some carb cleaning fluid. You're gonna need your brand new brake pads. You're gonna want to loosen up the lug nuts while the wheel is still on the floor. Break them loose because they are going to be a little tight when you first start trying to take them off. Don't remove them completely, just enough to loosen up the lug nuts. And we're going to go ahead and lift up the car and put up the jack to ensure safety of the vehicle. After you went ahead and lifted up the car and put the jack in there, you want to go ahead and lower the jack slowly and then remove the wheel, showing us what we're going to be working with. And there it is, our caliper with the old worn out brake pads. We are going to begin by loosening up the caliper by prying it away from the piston. By doing so, you're pushing all the brake fluid back up the line into the reservoir. This is going to allow for the brand new brake pads, which are much thicker, to be able to fit in there nice and easy without too much struggling. So we're going to continue by prying the caliper. After you pry the caliper, you want to make sure you loosen up the lug nuts. So normally you'd go counterclockwise, but because the bolt is facing you, you're going to go clockwise. You're going to continue by doing the same to the bottom, and if it's a little tight, just give it a little love tap with a hammer, and you should be able to just go ahead and take it out like so. After you went ahead and released that bolt, you should be able to easily pull up the caliper and remove the old brake pads. Man, look at those. They're disgusting. These are definitely beyond what I would consider safe. As you can tell, they're really thin. Now that we got the old brake pads off, it's a great time to inspect the brake disc. And usually these are signs of bad brake disc or a caliper hardware possibly getting stuck in one position or not having enough lubrication. Alright, after you check your brake disc, you want to make sure you clean the area, and we're going to be obviously replacing the hardware here. So right now you're seeing brand new hardware along with what I call a squeaker. This squeaker is going to be placed on the new brake pads like so. And this is just kind of a physical alarm to let you know that your brake pads are getting really worn and it's time to replace them. So now we're going to continue by removing the old hardware where the old brake pads were located. You want to make sure that when you're prying with the screwdriver to be very careful and not ding up the brake disc to prevent any scratches or dents or damage. We're going to do the same by removing the top hardware like so. And then we're going to go ahead and clean it up with this carb cleaner. If you do have brake cleaner, that's definitely more recommended. However, I didn't have it. You just want to be careful not to spray it into the brake lines as it is rubber, and you do not want to dry it out. And boy, look at that comparison. Two brake pads, the one on the right obviously being the new one, and the ones on the left completely worn. So it was definitely time to get this brake job done. Now we're going to continue by applying the new hardware nice and flush all the way down, pressing it as best as you can. If you need to, go ahead and give it a couple love taps with that hammer, and you're going to do the same with the one above. Should be nice and flush, just like you see here. Now we're going to continue by applying the squeakers to the new brake pads. These squeakers on the brake pads are going to be generally put on the back. And I like to start with the bottom and then kind of wiggle my way up and get it as close as you can to that brake disc. Just like that. And then you're going to do the same with the other. Now you're going to notice here that this caliper is a little tight, but it does manage to get in there Once you have the brake caliper nice and closed, you're going to apply the bolts in the back, hand tighten them both, and then make sure you tighten them all the way with the ratchet. Now before we continue, you want to make sure you go ahead and pump the brake to apply the brake fluid back into the caliper. This will ensure that you don't have an overflow inside of the reservoir, and it allows you the opportunity to make sure that there's no leaks coming from the brake reservoir into your caliper. After you made sure your lines are free and clear of any leaking fluids, that's pretty much it for this side. You're good to go. Now we're going to go ahead and put the wheel back on the bolts. Now it's always best practice to go ahead and hand tighten these bolts in a cross pattern like you see here, and hand tighten them the best that you can before you start tightening with either your lug wrench or your pneumatic tool. Now it's super crucial that you follow this order here to ensure that the wheel is properly seated. After you tighten the lug nuts with your lug wrench as tight as you can, you're going to go ahead and slowly lower the car by first pumping up the jack, releasing the car from the tower, and then removing the tower so you can slowly bring down the jack. Now that you have the car all lowered, you want to make sure you tighten them up the lug nuts as best as you can, and just like that, you're done on this side. And you're going to go ahead and complete the same process on each applicable wheel. After you're done replacing your brakes, you want to make sure you get this stuff. This is Fast Orange hand cleaner. This is great for whenever you're working on tough, greasy, dirty items, and it even helps you clean them as well. If you want to find this product, make sure to check the link description in the box below. You want to make sure you get plenty of that all up on your hands, and it does all the work for you. And just like that, brand new hands. And that's it, guys, that easy. Hopefully you guys found this video entertaining and informative, and if you guys liked it, make sure you guys hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and make sure to check out the description box for more information. Thanks so much for watching.